Now slow your roll there, partner. I know you're really excited about the summer banners that are coming out, but do you even know what's going on with the summer event? No? Well, strap in and get comfortable because that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. And I'm happy to report that this event does have a little bit of minutia to do, but it's very new player friendly. If you're worried that this is going to be an absolute slog and a really insane grind, do not worry. You don't have to clear story like the tower event, you just gotta beat Fuyuki, and you get access to what I am expecting to be a very nice story, at least from the little bit of the translations I spoiled myself on a couple years back. And seeing as how everybody really loves the Lost Belt 6 cast, and now they're just kind of hanging out and chilling on the beach. I mean, don't we all want to see Bargus, Melusine, Morgan, Castoria, Sith, and maybe even Oberon be a little happy during this summer event? Maybe not Oberon, but I'm going to give you all the details you need about all the things we're going to get for this summer event and all the things that this event is going to be bringing, what you got to do, all that good stuff. So like the video, subscribe, and let's start diving right into this. Now, this event is going to be bringing missions, you know, all those kind of things that you get in some of the past events. Maybe you've experienced those, but essentially they're things where you beat an X amount of enemies or you clear a certain part of the story, you unlock a mission, and you can kind of keep progressing through. But there's also a circle buff during this. Now, what is the circle buff? Basically, as you go through the event, you're going to progress this gauge on the circle, and that's going to give you more buffs. We'll talk about that in a little bit because it is actually really important, especially if your box is not quite up to snuff. It makes this event that much easier to go through because it's going to be bringing you a plethora of very, very strong buffs. But that's kind of the basic rundown for the event. Obviously, like most events, it's going to be time gated, so you can't just blitz through everything and finish the event in one day, but it's going to be here for a couple of weeks, so don't worry, you'll have time to farm if you want to farm. Let's talk about some of the servants you're going to be using for this event, because if you're newer and this is your first event, often FGO will have event bonus servants that not only get more bond if you're trying to bond them up, because hey, you can get their bond CE, you can get Saint Quartz for going to 11 through 15, or maybe you just want to, you know, show off that you really like this character. But the other important thing is that they get damage bonuses. Now, the two new 5 stars, Castoria and Melusine, not only are great characters, but they're getting a 100% damage bonus. So if you need them to take somebody out in this event and you pull them, they're going to be able to do that. But maybe you're like me, you got absolutely butt blasted on the Ace the Savior banner, and you're not going to be able to summon on some of these summer characters. Are there going to be good options for you? And yes, I've actually highlighted a couple of them, as you can see. This doesn't mean that the other characters can't be useful. These are some of the ones that stand out to me because they're just really good. They're getting a lot of extra damage, so they're a bit more usable than normal. Take someone like Archer Jean or Ryder Mordred, for example. I have them highlighted, but they don't have any special power mods. That's just because they're really strong loopers that often struggle when it comes to damage, and because they're getting a free 30% power mod, if you're stuck with them, they might actually perform rather well in this event. But I'm not saying they're the best options, just people, if you're looking at your box, you might want to keep an eye out on. Obviously, the new characters are going to do rather well. UDK Bargus really impressed me when this event really came out the first time, because I didn't pull my own to show her off, but I was still able to get her to loop the nodes just fine with only one Castoria because I had to bring the friend Bargus. So I can only imagine how good she's going to be if you have 2 Castorias and you pull your own. Obviously, some people are just here for power mod reasons. Do keep in mind there are just not only the free quest nodes, but there's also going to be missions you'll have to do for certain factions during the summer event. So they're just notable people to keep track of, whether they're just quick, arts, buster, they have power mod, like say somebody like Siegfried being anti-dragon, or Muramasa, even if it is small, having that anti-king trait, or if it's more notable, like Ruler Scotty being able to double as not only a support, but also someone with anti-lawful damage. Just some characters you want to keep an eye out on, but by all means, these are not the only characters that I think are useful here. For instance, I think you can get some value out of somebody like Summer Wu or Caster Gilgamesh. You know, if you really want to make them work, getting that extra damage for them is very helpful. Or even somebody like Ruler Artoria. Even without her buff, she could still perform rather well with this extra 30% power mod. So just keep these characters in mind, look at your Chaldea, and see if you have them. Now, I did mention some factions, and oh boy, I remember when these came out, people lost their mind about a very specific Dojin CE that we're going to be getting during this event. If you don't know, as you go through and start doing quests for different factions during this event, you're going to get these Dojin Dojin CEs. They're usually just very commemorative things. They have some nice art on them. Maybe it's really cute, or, well, as you're looking on the screen right now, maybe they're a little more than just being cute. But in this event, they also serve a function of giving you drop bonus for the event. So it is kind of nice that if you're not pulling for a lot of gacha CEs or something along those lines, you'll still find a way to be able to get some bonus during the event to kind of help you out just a little bit if you're struggling. Obviously, the gacha CEs are going to be very helpful as well, but it's just something there to kind of help you out a little bit as you are farming the event. Like I said, very new player friendly. Speaking of new player friendly, let's look at some of the free to play stuff we're going to be getting for this event. First and foremost, we have the first of 2 free 5-star CEs we're going to be getting for this event. The first one is As Thin as a Narrow Straight. This is going to be giving you 10% arts, buster, 50% starting gauge, and reduces damage taken by 200. Now, this isn't the craziest CE. If you're a newer player, this can be kind of nice because sure, you can slap this on any arts character or your buster farming characters, and it's fine enough to get started. You don't really want to max out the level on this one because it is split between attack and HP, but the reason it's notable is because its event-specific effect is giving you increased power from your circle buff. Now, you heard me mention that at the very beginning of the video that the circle is going to be giving you buffs, and you can see, or maybe not fully in the screenshot I used, but this CE will give you up to a 100% quick arts, buster, crit star gen, critical damage, and NP damage buff. That's a lot of free damage. Very new player friendly. If you do not have somebody that's able to loop through this event, even with the event bonus, this CE is going to be an absolute godsend for you. Now, I do feel like I kind of need to go ahead and talk about what these Dojin Circle quests are going to be. So there's a couple of leaders in this event, and they're going to have you do little scenarios, delivery quests, or just collect drawing. And the, actual buffs that they give you relative to the leader makes sense. Huyan's group is going to give you quick. Ryder Mordred's group is going to give you arts. Saber Tamamo is going to give you star generation up. Bakken is going to give you crit damage, and Asclepius is giving you buster damage. Okay, maybe they don't all make 100% sense, but then the Fairy Chaldea Kingdom is going to give you NP damage. So go after some of these groups, just make sure you're staying on top of these, and they will just give you passive buffs as you're going through the event. And if you still need additional help, that first free-to-play CE can be an absolute godsend for you. The other one, the Ephemeral ones, is going to be giving you a 15% quick performance buff, 15% NP gain, and 20 stars as soon as you enter the field for the first time you enter battle, while also, for its event bonus mechanic, giving you bonus drop rate on some of the event drops that you're going to need for those delivery quests and, the mini scenarios, that type of stuff. There are technically 2 sets of materials you need for this event. You need the actual bronze, gold, and silver drop rates, like as per usual. That's going to be these like ice pops, there's going to be some beans, and there's going to be some tropical nuts. But then you have the curry, energy drinks, and the steaks that you're going to need for some of these circle quests. So that's why it's going to be very important to stay on the ball for this. And the nice thing is, even after you finish all the circle quests and you have a whole lot of curry, you can sell them for QP if you're in a QP deficit. So that is very nice. And again, this isn't the craziest free-to-play CE, but if you think about it, you can kind of use it as a quick Black Grail if you don't have Black Grail on your account, doing farming with a quick servant while starting at 0% charge, because this does give them extra damage, it does give them extra NP gain, which might help them out, and it is an attack CE, so if you like to CE bomb and level up all your CEs and stuff, this can be very useful. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but it is very nice, especially if you're a beginner and you're just starting the game. We're also getting 3 command codes exclusive to this event, and these ones are more tailored, I would say, to some specific characters, especially Wolf Maiden of the Sun. It gives you 30% crit damage on the engraved card when you're on Sunlight Battlefield. Now, who can trigger Sunlight Battlefield? Oh, Gawain, Ozymandias, and unfortunately, Saber Gareth. And I'm still very, very sad about what they did to Saber Gareth. Justice for Saber Gareth, please. Can they toss her a buff to just give her something? Just a little bit so she can actually be a bit more usable. But on the real, you can slap this on absolutely anybody and then just kind of RNG into whenever you're on a Sunlight Battlefield. It's just free 30% crit damage. But if you have somebody like Ozymandias or you have Gawain, especially after his buff, this is not bad to slap on them. Or if you're on the coping side of things, you can give this to Saber Gareth and she'll crit a little bit harder. Lord knows that she actually needs that. So if you are a fan of Saber Gareth, you might want to consider giving this to her. Then we have the Pridwin CE. This one is going to give you Pierce defense when using the engraved card, and it's going to give you 2 stars. I kind of get, it's like, oh, slap this on Ryder Mordred. She can get around some defense and get some stars so she can do some crits. But realistically, you can just slap this on whoever you want. I mean, it's not the craziest command code, but piercing defense is nice whenever you do need it, and you could just throw this on your arts card because it's funny. Haha, the arts card is genning the stars. Realistically, you can toss this wherever. Same thing for the Sisterly Saintess Follower. As long as you put this on an arts card, it's going to get 10% crit damage and drop 1 star. See? Haha, funny. The blue card is making the green card effect. But realistically, any one of your arts characters, or even somebody like, say, a Jalter, for instance, that's predominantly a Buster character but does have 2 arts cards, you can just throw that on there and they'll be critting a bit harder on those arts cards. It's just a very nice general CE that you could just put on any one of your arts characters, or realistically any arts card that you want to do a little bit more damage. But now let's move on to the free quest. The nodes are going to be spamming as you farm your way through this event. The 90 plus is actually not bad if you're a newer player because it's only 2 waves. So traditionally you like to get through these 3 wave nodes in 3 turns. That's the most effective way to min-turn these to make sure you're maximizing how much you're doing. But if you're a bit struggling and you can't do the 90++ for this event, this isn't bad because a lot of your buffs are going to be on a 3-turn cooldown. So while you could probably easily take out the first wave, if you can't down the 400k Kiara in the first NP, that's absolutely fine. You get an extra turn, an extra crack at being able to take her out. And again, nothing wrong with doing the 90+ nodes. The drops aren't as good, but you still get a pretty decent amount of bond. You're still getting all of the drops from the event for all of the different, curries and steaks and sodas and beans and nuts and tickets and all that good stuff. So you're still getting very good progress on the event. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you do want to tackle a bit of a harder challenge, or you want extra bond, you want to technically, I think, get a little bit more drops, I think, you can try to go to the 90++. Although I will note that the 90+ does drop the seashells. So I do think, even for myself, I'm going to be focusing on the 90+ for this one because Lord knows every single summer character needs 8 billion of these seashells. So I'm going to be farming this so I could do double duty and making sure that I get all these characters ascended, all of them appended, all that good stuff. But if you do want to do the 90++, it is dropping reverse scales, which are also kind of in need for some accounts I've seen. And it also drops night medals, which you either have 200 of or you have 0 of them. There's really no in between. And this one could be a little bit rough. It's a 311 node finishing off with a 1.2 million HP MHX. So you're going to need some pretty strong single target damage. She is an assassin, so if for whatever reason, you're rocking a really strong Sanzo and you maybe want to throw her at it, sure, do that. I don't know how well that'll go, but she's one of those annoying star attribute enemies, meaning you're going to want to take advantage of one of the other alignments or basic traits that she has to make sure you can take her down. Now, she is chaotic and she is good, which does mean you could use somebody like, say, MHX Alter, but unfortunately, they made original MHX an assassin instead of a saber, so you're not getting the double duty power mod on this one. If you do have a really strong Archetype Earth, you could use her for this because Archetype Earth does have the chaotic power mod, but I do imagine your Archetype Earth would need to be built out pretty strongly for this one. Now, Kriemhild I do think is pretty decent for this one because for whatever reason, MHX has the dragon trait. Like, yeah, I get it. Ooh, saber face, right? Saber from another dimension, but she still has the dragon buff. So take advantage of that with Kriemhild not only being able to hit the chaotic side of her, but also the dragon side. If you did build up a really strong Kriemhild, you might be able to walk with it with this one. You might be able to use that to take out this MHX over here. Do watch out though, because the second wave is rocking almost a 700k dragon, which, oh, would you look at that? Another person that's a dragon? Does that mean that Kriemhild is actually really good for this one? Yes, if you did build out your Kriemhild, if your Kriemhild is uber strong, you can kind of just bring her, have somebody clear the first wave, and then let your Kriemhild go to Hammer Town on these guys. It is also why I was saying that if you don't have like a super strong OP Kriemhild, maybe consider using some of those event CEs. Those will actually be really good in boosting up your damage. Again, if you can't do the 90++, by all means, drop down to 90 plus. Again, you're going to need the seashells anyway for all of your summer characters, so you're kind of just passively farming that as you do this. It's just for more bond if you want to do that, and technically I think you get a couple of extra drops, and like the drop rate for CE I think is higher, but not that big of a deal if you can't do it. More so a flex most of the time than anything. Almost done here with the actual event stuff, but we'll talk about the missions. Most of the missions are just very basic for completing delivery quests, you know, finishing the end for some of the Artoria route things, you know, basically just doing all the things for all the different groups, right? And then obtaining a certain amount of the different materials you need, like 400 nuts, 400 beans, 400 tickets, all that basic stuff. And then just remember to use the free-to-play, you know, you know, quote-unquote Maeve, right? If you ascend her 3 times, not even final ascension, get her to bond 3, which you're gonna get for the other mission where you have to use her 10 times, you do all the missions, right? Only 30 missions. You can wipe the sweat off of your brow if you're a long-time player and you were like, dude, I can't do these missions again where I gotta kill 300 chickens, bro. Those get ridiculous. Newer players, they are making it a bit easier on you, so don't worry about all that. Finally, we'll close out with the banners, because if you haven't seen, you know, the tier list I did, we're getting a whole smorgasbord of banners, starting off with the Summer Castoria banner. Now, if you're wondering, do I summon for this character? Well, I believe in the next couple of days, if not tomorrow, I'll actually have my video dropping on this character, and yes, they are really good, and this banner is also really high value. Not only is Artoria, Caster, Berserker, whatever you want to call her, one of the best characters in this game, arguably the best character dropping this year, Chloe, Avenger, is also really strong. Not only is she a really strong single target quick DPS, but she enables a lot of different setups in your account because she has Plug Suit on one of her skills. So it enables you to like swap your characters around in ways that you can't do with only one Plug Suit. And while I am a bit harsh on Suzuka Gozen, mainly because I want her to be better, she is fine enough as a quick looper. Like, she'll get the job done. You'll probably see a lot of people say that she's mid, and I do think she's unfortunately the definition of mid. Not a bad character, but not good by any stretch of the imagination. You can get a lot of usage out of her, right? Especially if this is going to be your only quick looper because your account is so new. Not a bad quick looper to be starting off with. The next banner coming out after that, or technically I guess the same time, is the Oberon banner. And this is the one that if you do not have Oberon or any major support in your Chaldea, you need to be prioritizing this guy. You can use him anywhere. He works the best in Buster and Arts comps, but is still usable even with quick characters. This guy is just generally disgustingly broken. He's giving heaps of batteries, heaps of damage. What more do you want from this guy to do? Technically, he could be your Buster looper for you if you're really, really down bad as well. So not only is he going to be one of the best supports in the game for you, but technically, if you're down bad enough, he can be your Buster looper. Now, about a week or a couple of days after that initial banner and stuff drops, we're going to be getting Melusine Ruler. This, I think, is more so if you like the characters, because all 3 of these characters are good, but they're not needed, right? I know people in the comments are going to be like, no, I need Melusine, I need Sith, You don't need them, you want them, right? And that's understandable, because I want UDK Bargus and I want Sith as well. But they're not needed characters, right? Summer Castoria and definitely Oberon border more on being needed characters than these 3. They're all really dang good. Melusine, one of the better arts loopers in the game. UDK Bargus, very versatile. She's a single target and AoE arts unit. So whichever you need her to do, she can do that for you. And Sith, while a little complicated once you get the hang of things, is a really strong, not only, or I guess decent Buster Looper, but really strong going into boss fights. Like, that's where I think she really excels. But none of these characters are needed, right? So if you're really scrutinizing with your Saint Courts and you're really trying to eke out that last little bit of value in them, this is unfortunately the most skippable out of these banners, right? Because they're so good, but they're just not needed. So kind of just weigh that with the Saint Quartz you have, how much you're willing to spend if you're saving for like Kenshin or Tolmaius later on in the year, versus how well your pulls go on banners 1 and 2. Technically, though, I guess banner 4 is the most capable with Tetskali Polka. Maybe has a little bit more value than Melusine because he has his own farming system if you want to use that, but the guy's really good. If you want to summon for him, by all means, go in. He's strong, but I think only the Tets fans are going to be concerned about this banner. The other one to keep an eye out on, and the reason that Summer Melusine kind of suffers a little bit, is the Summer 2022 rerun. I mean, this is bringing 3 absolute bangers for 5 stars back. Lady Avalon is functionally just Arts Merlin, so she's good, offer it, really, really strong support. Scotty Ruler is pretty much the de facto go-to quick looper, or quick support for looping. You know, if you want to do any quick looping, you want to have Ruler Scotty. And then Summer Ibuki is in direct competition with Melusine, and they just kind of have this back and forth, right? Where Ibuki might be able to do more damage because she's a Zerg, but that doesn't also mean that Melusine's damage is really that bad either, but they both are also Earth attribute power mod type guys, so they're competing with each other on that. Ibuki's better in multi-core setups because she has the charisma and can donate her second skill to people, but Melusine's got that 80% battery, so she's really good on nodes where there's 1 to 2 enemies where Ibuki might struggle a little bit. This causes a lot of friction for Summer Melusine because they're both competing with each other. I do like Summer Ibuki a little bit more because of the versatility she has, being usable in multi-core setups. I just think that's a very, very strong thing to have on a character, but it does really hurt Melusine's banner. I understand what they were trying to do and saying like, oh, we'll just overload everybody and they'll summon on both banners, but I don't know if Lasengle things were made out of money or something. You can't summon on all these banners unless, I don't know, what, you got a 401k or something? I don't got one of those. I'm assuming 90% of you guys don't have it either, so you gotta make a decision, right? You gotta think about which banners you want to hit. I did a priority list, and I also did a tier list kind of breaking this down in more detail, and I'm gonna be streaming on Friday anyway, I think when the event drops, or if it'll be dropping later that day. Regardless, if you have further questions, you can ask me about that. You can ask me about your account, comment down if you are like really struggling and stressing about it, or hop in the Discord. You know, people are definitely willing to help you if you're like, I have X, Y, and Z character. Is there someone you would recommend me going for? Realistically, all of these characters will do you right. I mean, Lady Avalon, Summer Castoria, Summer Melusine, Summer Ibuki, Oberon, all of them will do you right if you pull them. There's really no wrong answer on this one, I would say, as much as like the, you know, meta shills would tell you like, oh, well, like you should go in this. They're all really good. They're all really strong, all right? Like none of them are going to be bad for you. It's not like, oh, I pulled Ruler Melusine, my account is ruined. It's like, no, you're going to be fine. Like, she's really strong. She does the damage she loops. It's okay. It's just maybe you should have prioritized Oberon. I know that was a lot at the very end of the video there, and I didn't want to give anybody an anxiety attack over that, but these are some very, very powerful characters, and you might have just gotten butt blasted by the last banners. I know I got butt blasted by those ace banners, right? I don't got any Sanquarts to summon. And so if you're like that and you're kind of stressing out and you're like, I was able to put together like 30 Sanquarts, where do I throw them? Hopefully now I've given you some sources and some advice so you can kind of piece that together. But with all that being said, I've been talking for way too long. I got way too excited talking about the banners, so I need to, you know, chill out and not have a heart attack. Like I said, any further questions, comments, I'm going to try to get to them. Even if I don't reply, I do read all of those and I kind of compile them so that I can answer that stuff on stream. Or if you want to go to the Discord down in the description down below, Yugioh Channel in there, yap away. Tons of people that'll help you out with that if I myself am not available. With that being said, I need to go cry into my pillow because I'm realizing I'm not getting any of these characters because Ace stole my wallet, shot me in the heart, and left me bleeding out in the streets. Is that a reference? I don't know. But with that being said, gonna get out of here. Have yourselves a nice day. I'm gonna go cry.